Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of little moving pieces to this part of the build, but this is where the build actually gets exciting because now you have a physical product, an actual house, and it's time to start putting pieces together, get this thing powered up, mechanical ducting in here, plumbing in here. Let's turn this thing into a fully finished, functional house for somebody to live in. Let's go. We're documenting the process of buying land, building houses, and today we have a fully finished, completed, framed house. Now, we haven't got our frame inspection yet because a few things I want to talk to you guys about today as far as the process. Anytime that we finish framing a house, the immediate things that we need to do is our roof penetrations. The roof penetrations are one of the most important things you need to get done because you have to get the roof on the house. We just got weather out here and we just got rain, so now we have water inside the house, which is normal. It happens. There's seasonal weather anywhere in any time you're building a house. You're never going to prevent having water that gets into the house, but you want to be able to seal up those penetrations as soon as humanly possible. So we want to get that roof on this house quickly. We had the heating and cooling guys out here on Friday, and they were out here doing the roof penetrations, running ducting. They call them the tinners. They're running all the ducting for the heating and cooling systems. They're running the curbs for where the actual unit is going to sit. And then they do their return airs, which the air distribution comes back from the house. They land up getting the ducting and stuff back up to the air conditioner, and then all the ducting within the house and vents to every single room. Now, one of the big things that we do is want the plumbers to come in too, because every single bathroom has a vent, the kitchen has vents, and you got to get those roof penetrations going all the way through the roof so that the roofers can come up and seal around them. Now, we still always call our electricians, even though the electricians don't typically have roof penetrations. Sometimes there are circumstances where the roof levels don't line up, and so we want to make sure that the electricians get an opportunity to put any flashing they need up there as well to get any electricity up to the roof. We typically come to what's called our parapet walls, which are the walls that separate the elevations and add a little bit of extra elevation to the top of the roof line so you can't see any of the vents, the air conditioners, and all of the mechanical plumbing vents, everything that's on the roof. And so we'll typically run our electrical through those so that we don't have roof penetrations. They actually come out through a wall, and then we put some flashing on those wall sides. But we give the electricians an opportunity, so just in case there's a need for them to put flashing and have to do any roof penetrations, we get that done as well. The other thing that we get done is we get our fireplaces installed, and we make sure that the fireplace company gets all of their venting up through the roof as well. We need those double wall fire flues to go up. We need our fire framing done for the venting, so for our combustibles, and so we always want to make sure that those penetrations are done as well. Then we have the roofers come in just a few days after all of this is done, roof the entire house, and we seal it. Right now we're getting our temporary doors put in and some of our final doors, but we want to lock the house up. This house in particular, the windows came in incorrectly, so we're about a week behind on windows. The windows will come in now. So typically, the last week, right before framing is completely done, we'll have the window package sent out. We'll have all the window wrap, which actually seals and insulates the windows, close off the windows completely. The other thing that we want to be paying attention to is the garage doors. The garage doors are on back order right now. It's taking garage doors about 9 weeks to 10 weeks to come in, so you want to make sure that you get your garage doors ordered, and you have the garage guys come out and measure the actual garage door openings at the time that you're doing framing. Our doors have been on order for the last 3 weeks. We're probably a few weeks out. It's one of the big things that's our big holdup on closing up our houses lately. So we've just been putting plywood over the garage doors to keep people from vandalizing, stealing, to prevent theft, and other stuff in that regards. Now, this area is great because we don't typically have that, but for most people in areas that are building with other builders, it's not typically homeless people or druggies or people like that are going in stealing. It's typically other contractors. And so you got to be really careful about sealing up your home so that they don't steal your fireplaces, your copper out of your house is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. You want to make sure that you have your whole house closed off. This area is a little bit more semi-rural, so we don't worry about that quite as much. One of the big things that we worry about more in these ones is just the weather and the elements of the weather. We just want to close off the house, and it does help in keeping everybody honest as well. So nonetheless, let's take a look at the framing on this house, and I'll show you guys a few components that you guys want to pay attention to. Our door jambs for our garage doors right now have particle wood. We'll have the framers have to come back one more day still. One of the things that we use on the outside is we either use raw pine or cedar on the garage door openings so that this way, when they're exposed, they don't rot with the weather. This house will be land up being wrapped with stucco, but we still put the pine in here anyhow because it's just a better finished product. So we'll end up trimming that off with these. Now, with the garages, you want to make sure this house with the slab is actually poured really good because our guys did it, and I landed up coming in and checking it. But one of the things that we do is we have the survey company come out when they're doing the slab. This one runs really nice, almost the entire length of the entire house, the way the framing actually landed up sitting. A lot of times we'll have the framing hang off an inch, 2 inches if the slabs are not completely square. When we were doing the Tuscan style house where there was a lot of round rotundas and round walls, we saw a lot of times where the framing would actually hang off the slabs, or it would sit in on the slabs, which means you have to grind that slab down or fill it in. And so one of the things with this one that when I walk around, as I look before the stucco guys come out and actually start putting lath on these to start covering up the wood facade, is I want to make sure that everything lines up all the way down. Now, all of our plates, all of our red heads, one of the things you want to pay attention to as well is the anchoring. We make sure that all of our anchor bolts are to code. That we have our entire house where we have our bolts strapped down everywhere, all the way around. Wherever it's not strapped down, we come in with what's called red heads, and we'll drill an anchor to make sure it complies with code. Now, when we're doing our slab, we'll always have a ground rod. This grounds the electricity and the power for the entire house. This piece of rebar right here, it's tied into the rebar and the footings. If you're doing stem walls, it's the exact same thing. We'll come up out of the stem wall footings with a stick of rebar, and this grounds the entire house, so you don't have to do the old copper ground rods that you have to drive into the ground. This grounds the entire house for the power, and it just runs all the way through and through your entire footings for the entire house. So it's great to know what those things are for, so that way you guys are aware of what needs to be done, what needs to be where, and we kind of think out where the power is going to be in advance. So we know our power is coming straight up this hill, so we know our panel is going to be on this side. So one of the things the guys asked me, they said, which side do I want this on? Because we could put this anywhere in the house. Doesn't matter where it rises. It's easier to run it and ground out the house where the panel is going to be. Our main panel is going to probably be right here on this wall. So it's real close, real easy to ground it, and we'll utilize that as a ground rod. We still have material in here. One of the things that you'll notice in this house right now is that we have not yet thrown away any of our scrap lumber. We'll use all our scrap lumber that you guys see in here for backing. We'll use it for backing for drywall. We'll use it for backing, reinforce all of our sheetrock. And we still have a few things that still have to be taken care of on this house. We have a wall up on top that still needs to be framed to enclose our air conditioner. And we have a wall that's a little too short in here that needs to be framed up for our outdoor kitchen. And we have a few doorways and so forth that still need to be blocked, and some backing put up for some of our barn doors that are very popular and you guys are seeing around in a lot of homes right now. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the heating and cooling guys in here. It's time for our mechanical rough-in for all our heating and cooling system. It's time for our plumbing top-out, which means that our rough-in was in the ground. Now they're coming in, they're topping out, and they're pulling the plumbing pipes through the walls and stubbing them out. And then we have our electrical rough-in, which they're going to start what's called drilling and boxing, which means they'll start drilling all the holes to run all the wires through the framing. And then they'll start boxing, put all the boxes up for your single gain, double gain, triple gain boxes for all your light switches, your cans for your lights, and all of your canisters for all the electricity that goes through the entire house, including your main panels, sub panels, and everything else for power. They go in that sequence of events. The roofers come in, and then once we do that, we'll have our insulation guys come in, seal off all our penetrations. We'll get a frame inspection. As soon as the frame inspection is approved, they do look at the sheeting. And once we get our sheeting inspection, then the drywall can get dropped. We can come in and we can insulate completely. We get an insulation inspection, then drywall goes up and the exterior starts getting wrapped for a finished facade of stucco. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of little moving pieces to this part of the build, but this is where the build actually gets exciting, because now you have a physical product, an actual house, and it's time to start putting pieces together, get this thing powered up, mechanical ducting in here, plumbing in here, and let's turn this thing into a fully finished, functional house for somebody to live in. Let's go.